Good morning, everyone. First time I've been here so early in the morning, I know. So some crazy hair, big headphones, but we craft whenever we can craft, right? I'm slowly making progress over here because some of it stays and gets organized. Not so much over here, although I have discovered in the two very big drawers how many actual blank pieces of stationery and notebooks or in envelopes I've had for a long time, which worked out well for one of the today for one of the swaps I'm in. I got two ladies to send some stuff to, and I found, the legal size envelopes, number 10, I think they call those. And that will work just fine. How's your Friday going? Anyone? Anyone on the replay? Hoping you had a good Friday, good weekend coming up. Now the challenge to thread the needle. Of course, I haven't pinned the fabric yet either. But yeah, this is the new cover from my mom's pillow. I think I showed you the pillow once before, but I will again. Ugh. I need some other scissors. You stay over there. Yeah, so I chose a couple of coordinating fabrics because the square size of the one does not fit all the way around. It's too small to fit all the way around the pillow. And pillows are rectangle. Oh, I can't for the life of me pick up thread today. All right, let me make some knots. And then I will show you my mom's pillow again, in case you haven't seen it yet. I was taught basic hand sewing stuff between my mom and both my grandmas, actually. But I'm pretty sure my dad's mom, my grandma. Oh, what in the world? Like, why is it? There we go. Oh, no, it looks like I got. Oh, yeah, this is one of the things that you might have to put up with on this channel is just some crazy hair. Look at that. What is that one loop even wanting to do? He can't decide if he's going to lean left or if he's going to lean right. Fall forward. Let's see if I can tuck him back down. Look, guys, I have too much hair. All right. Yep. So this is my mom's pillow. It's a light blue, but got some stains on it. It's been around for a while. Needs a new case, and I can tell that the one I put on here before I stitched. I hand stitched that one too. So I don't know. Somebody might be waking up for the day. Hello, Paisley. Paisley is my husband's dog. Hello, darling. In comes little man. Good morning, Oliver. Oliver, good morning. Good morning. Oh, so I will show you. Because I have them facing each other. It's a navy blue with white dots. And then this one is hard to show. There we go. Look, more of a blue floral. Teeny tiny little blue flowers. I guess I'm sticking with the blues. Hers, the one there, looks more of a sky blue, but that's okay. Oop, I hear tank sounds. Time to be switching out tanks. My son is on oxygen all the time. Sounds like Daddy's gonna change out some tanks there. Today is also Friday, which means it's tank pickup and delivery day. They take away the the empty tanks, and they drop off new ones. I don't know if my husband has ordered any portable tanks or not. But normally, every week or so, we get, 13 to 16-ish tanks that are about, 4 foot tall, maybe. Sorry, I was looking into the next room. Maybe not, because Oliver's actually only like 4 foot 2. And he's taller than those tanks. So maybe the tanks are. Hun, how tall would you say those tanks are?
Both of them.
The tanks that Oliver uses, how tall? The actual tank, not the handle part. Not the handle part at the top.
40 inches, maybe.
40 inches?
40, 36, around there.
So
I
three.
can measure them if you want me to.
Pardon me?
Between 36 and 40 inches. That's it.
36 to 40 inches tall. It has how many liters of oxygen in it? 3,000 some? 3,400 ish? I would ask you while you're trying to chew, right?
No. You want to know how big it is?
No. You told me already. And I said, how much oxygen is it? 3,000 something liters?
1,000 psi of however much is in there. So probably 10 hours, 12 hours worth of use at 3 liters.
Yeah. I was just asking total number of what's in it.
I don't know. It's compressed. So
I know. I believe it's usually on the tank, though. I think it's like it's on the tanks. I think it's 3,400 or so for that size. But that's not the size that we like to go.
That's the maximum amount of rated pressure.
Oh, that's the maximum amount of pressure. So if it was full, it would have that.
It only goes up to about 1,200.
Well, that's what the regulator does.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that there's more in there. The regulator would be pegged against the wall if it was higher than that. I forgot what I was doing.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Is my puppy down here now? No. You are causing trouble over here. Later today, I dropped something behind, from one drawer behind the other drawer. And now I can't shut the bottom drawer. Oh, the things he has to fix for me. Problems he has to solve. I'm good at making messes and mistakes and errors, and he is the best at fixing things. He fixed our whole freezer that we thought at first we were going to have to buy a new freezer. He said it cost him like $5 to buy a couple of parts on Amazon. And so he said, if this doesn't work, then we do have to buy a new freezer. It's a refrigerator size stand-up. The entire thing is a freezer. Yeah, who wants to buy a new freezer if they don't have to buy a new freezer? One you got is working for a $5 part that your husband can fix, or any that you could fix yourself. Yeah. And actually, we had matching washer and dryers, and the washer, I think it pooped out before all the three older kids left the house. I blame them for the washer breaking. Too much work on the washer. So much more workload, I think, on a washer in general than the dryer. We always had everybody washing in cold water. I don't know if you guys all wash in cold water, but we wash in cold water. Unless something comes along that needs to be washed by itself and it's needs to be like sanitized. We have a sanitized kind of setting on there, and then it just automatically flips that to like hot water. So we also have hot water on demand, which is very, very nice. We have two of them um, hanging on the wall in our laundry room. One does the back half of the house and one does the front half of the house. The noises you hear is my son, obviously enjoying something he has found online. He likes his laptop, he likes his desk CPU, he likes his iPad tablet. Last night he did not try to get up and leave the room while my husband and I were sleeping. But the night before he did. And the only reason he couldn't get out of there and come down to where he wanted to, probably for his computer, is because of the feeding tube he has, attached to the pump at night. So he was kind of attached more than he was used to. Well, no, he hasn't had the food pump as long as he's had oxygen his whole life. That he just will separate if he wants to go somewhere else. We need 50 foot of tubing down here, but then we turn around and upstairs have to have 50 foot as well, because it doesn't, it gets him halfway to where he can hang out in the living room with oxygen from down here, or he can do the same thing from upstairs. He started walking when he was 3. Just got up and walked to the door. It was a hot day, and we were in the middle of getting our house addition put on, and things were getting remodeled. I think we were like sleeping in the bedroom or in the kitchen, or not the kitchen, the dining room, living room area, on mattresses on the floor. And he, being as small as he was when he was born, he still was pretty small at age 3, but we were sitting on the couch watching something, and he was asking for the swing that he could see through the front window in the swings from the tree. And we're like, no, because the heat was still pretty bad that summer evening, and he has breathing issues, so too much heat, too much cold. But for him, it's more for his breathing. It's more the humid heat, and that's all we have here where we live is humid heat. But he wanted to go out there to that swing, And he kept signing to me, swing. Wanted that swing, and we'd say, no, not today. And the next thing we knew, that boy got up off the couch, got down, and walked to the front door. He was also only in his diaper to help keep him a little bit cooler inside. But when your child has not walked yet and says he wants to go outside to the front yard and swing in the tree swing and gets up and walks to the door, even though you've already said no, you say yes and grab him a t-shirt and shorts and take him out there. That's exactly what we did. So he doesn't really run, kind of more hops. And that's a muscle tone issue and what do you call it? The knee contracture that over the years we've tried and tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. And nothing has, I mean, it'll help it a little bit. Things have helped it somewhat. He's actually gone through serial casting too. Serial meaning multiple times, where he literally has his head, like if your kid breaks their leg, that kind of cast to straighten his leg out and keep it straightened out for a certain amount of time and try to help stretch. I'm just losing myself here. Ooh, my new ring. I got this yesterday. I believe they said it was blue kyanite. Yeah. So, oh, and this one too. Citrine. This one I got yesterday too. So yeah, I like my stones and gems. Don't mind my looking the thread. I mean, anybody who knows anything about sewing knows that that's always something you try when you're trying to thread a needle, because it actually usually helps a lot. I can't make this too long or I won't be able to manage it. Usually if I make too long of a piece of thread, I end up with it getting all knotted up together. Something's fun. It's 7:30 in the morning, 7:20. Don't know what it is. As long as he's happy. That's what a lot of people say. As long as he's happy. Yep. Doesn't like to be told no, but he is a happy kid. He is a happy boy. I think some of the ladies that I have spent some time talking to like on a Facebook chat room. They met him the other day. But everybody always says about him when they see him and they notice his bright red hair. I mean, like this kind of reddish. So there goes husband with bum conducting headphones. What'd you make, babe?
Coffee.
Oh, just coffee. I drank my coffee already today. Trying to cut back. because it doesn't do anything for headaches. I know a lot of people think it does, but then you get hooked on caffeine because you get a headache without it. So I'm trying to keep myself to that 1 cup a day. My daughter has told me that there's research that says it's better for you to actually eat before you even have coffee in the morning. And I am so not a breakfast person. It's not that I don't believe her, but I mean, we all can't do every single thing, right? That's supposed to be healthier for us. I mean, you got to pick your battles, pick your habits. I mean, it's something for me already to limit myself to 1 cup, much less trying to eat before drinking that 1 cup. So does anyone have something special like I have, like this, from my mom? Do you guys have little trinkets maybe from your mom or dad that really aren't necessarily important to anybody? They're not worth necessarily anything, but they're very important to you. Yeah, my mom didn't have anything written down as far as who she wanted to give what to, and she had lived here the last few years of her life, so we had to kind of get all of her things together. And both of my sisters were here, my half brother, one of my nieces, one of my nephews. So, my dad, I got him to finally start working on writing some stuff down, because he does have a will, and he does have all of his funeral expenses and the things that they want, that he wants done, like the full military service. But you guys, it's really something. I'm 53, okay, so it's not like I plan on going anywhere anytime soon necessarily, but I have experienced being on the other side of how well it goes and how much it helps when someone passes away and they already have all of their, not only all their expenses paid, they have everything picked out and who they want to give what to, and they it really, really does help. Takes away a lot of the stress, a lot of the phone calls, paperwork, all that goes on. Can't stop family feuds, though. Not saying that we had a family feud, because we didn't. But it definitely does not stop a family feud. I mean, we've seen those movies, right, where they're all sitting around waiting for that will to be read, and somebody, at least one person, is always upset over what's in the will, because it's not what they expected. I need to call my dad today. I haven't talked to my dad in a little while. He lives out of state from me. And actually, though, honestly, he actually has lived out of state from me since I was 19. So 24 years. by himself, living by himself now in his mid-70s. So it's always good to check in on him. I do have one sister, my younger sister, who lives there. My older sister was on the East Coast. And everybody always says, well, if you didn't live so far. And I'm like, I'm the one living where we all lived to start with. It's all the rest of you that moved. So if you guys didn't live so far, ha ha ha. I think it's you guys who moved away from me. I could drive away from this house right now and within 20 minutes be in front of where my old house used to be. Be right by my grade school and all of that would be lickety split. For them, it would be thousands of over 1,000 miles. I have a son who now lives about an hour away from my dad. He just moved down there too. So maybe he'll keep little tabs on him here and there too. Who knows? Does anyone have any exciting weekend plans? My exciting weekend plans are having to do with this whole area, doing whatever little cleanup I can, or and organizing, and there's stuff in either side of my computer right here. And my husband bought 2 new monitors for me so that I can have 2 screens. So it's going to have to be some rearranging of this desk too. And hopefully, at least the screen part will get done. I have to have 2 screens upstairs. One would be the laptop screen though, and one is just a standalone computer screen. So now I got to figure out, since I took my computer and brought it down here and it's going to stay here, the old laptop upstairs is just not in my one room is just not what will work. That's for sure. But buying computers now, or building them yourself, building them yourself was always so much cheaper if you knew how to do it or knew somebody who knew how to do it. But and my husband does know how to do it. We've had old computers that he's taken parts from and put things together and whatever, but I don't really want at least I don't think I want another laptop up there, because it is nice to have picked it up and taken it somewhere. But we'll see. Ooh, did you sneeze? My husband's little half Chihuahua, half Jack Russell Terrier. She's a little cuckoo, and she can jump. Her name is Paisley. She's laying behind me. in my dog's bed, but she's in charge. She's the female out of the three, so she's in charge. So she's laying in his bed and she just sneezed. We've had some cold snaps lately, and I believe you might have snow and rain on and off throughout the day today. But once it turns warmer, and it is spring or summer, she literally needs Benadryl, like almost every night, just to keep allergies at bay for her. So it's a good thing we have, it's nice to have capsules of Benadryl on hand, because if you know the ratio you need per pound of dog or a person, crush the pill or open up the capsule, weigh it, how many grams is how many milligrams. She's only 8 pounds. We don't have to do a lot of refiguring any medicine like that, ibuprofen or for Benadryl for my son, though. He's pretty much I think he's pretty much going to stay 4'2" and about 60-ish pounds. So we definitely have some genes for small stature, not really tall, not really tall. My mom was only 5 foot. I dare say her mom was probably not too much, a couple inches maybe, and over 5 foot, if that, because by the time I knew her, she was older, not old, but older, and possibly already losing some inches. My grandpa wasn't much taller than her. So I have a daughter that's short, and I have a son that isn't all that tall. He's probably 5'7". And then I have another son, my oldest, who is 6'1". And we do not know where he came from that way. I mean, he obviously belongs, but like, whose genes did he get that when that, those dice were rolled? Because even my ex-husband, his father, is only 5'9", as was his father. And his grandfather on that side, both of his grandfathers, and especially grandmothers, are not necessarily very tall at all. And I don't know how far back you can go to have height come through like that, but he got it. So he was the one who was having to reach for something. He has a couple really tall friends too, now that I think about it. Both of my boys do. They're close enough in age. They're one in one grade and one in the next grade. So they had a lot of the same friend group, which made things easier most of the time. Sometimes not. We were the house that everybody came to. Hang out, play computer games and video games, and eat all my food. All the frozen pizzas. Everything. So that'd be child number, because we have 4, so they'd be child number 5, number 6, number. Oh, and the girls too. My second son met someone, and their friend group became his friend group too, and it was a mix of girls and boys, which was interesting. Several, like 3 sets of twins amongst that set of friends. And this might be the only twin children I know right now. And they're not children anymore. They're all in their late 20s. But they were the only sets of twins I think I knew back then. And even now. Twins do not run in our family. But red hair does. Red hair, every other generation. It's pretty uncommon how much there's what they say now, but it's like less than 1% of the population or something is a redhead. And I'm just going to say they probably mostly live in Ireland. I don't know. Scottish too, I suppose. I don't know the name of this stitch. And I don't think anybody ever taught it to me. I just learned it myself because it seemed like it would be a good way to keep 2 pieces of fabric, the edge of 2 pieces of fabric together. Well, so I've done it for a long time, but I don't know what it's called. I tell you, sewing is not my forte. I will use a machine for crafty stuff, but there's no way that I could sew anything to wear or anything like that. At least not with the knowledge I have now. I'm not saying I can't learn, but I don't know that I want to learn. I don't, it seems very time intensive. Of course, so is this. But it's just a little project. And when you did it by hand yourself, that's always a good feeling. So I woke up today at 3:33, and I believe it was my dog that needed to go out. He usually sleeps behind my head on my pillow. And I think he jumped down onto the floor and then climbed back up the 2-step dog step thing and started pawing at me. Normally I don't get woke up so politely when the dogs wake me up. But he is my little boy, and he can be very polite. He can also be very insistent. He's part Yorkie and part. They weren't sure if it was part. It was definitely part Yorkie, but they weren't sure if it was part. The second part was Dachshund or Chihuahua. I'm going to go with Chihuahua because he does have a little bit with that same look to his face. There's my little one down here does. My dog's name is Stan Lee. Stan Lee. 2 separate names. Yes, like the comic book guy. In fact, we've always named all of our pets people names. There's a time we had a lot of greyhounds that we've adopted over the years, and if they came with a certain name, you're supposed to kind of leave it alone because they were highly trained dogs and very accustomed already to their name. But I think the only one we ever had that didn't have a person name was Flash. His name was Flash, but we couldn't keep him for very long. He was a troubled puppy. He hadn't been treated too well by the racetrack owners that owned the dogs, which is really sad. Because then he very quickly became a dog that didn't know how to cope being a pet. So, 1 second, I dropped. Sorry.
Renee,
I dropped.
you filming?
Yes.
Sorry.
I dropped my thread. Sitting here with blankets. Oops, my chair. Move a little bit closer. Ooh. I can already feel like it's colder out there with the idea in my head that it's going to rain and snow all day. Hopefully, most of you, the majority of you, are experiencing warmer weather. Though I do have some friends that are in Minnesota, so I don't know that they are necessarily having much warmer. Anywhere we're on the Great Lakes right now. I think we had several days in a row of 60s not too long ago. Then it'll hang out in the 50s. For some reason, now we're back down into the 40s. Even after the spring equinox. What was it, Monday? It's the 19th. So what is it? Today is Friday, and it's the 22nd. Yeah. So I think it was 19th, 22, 21, 20. Oh, Tuesday. Yeah. So yeah, the spring equinox. And Easter then will be this first Sunday after the first full moon, which the first full moon is in 3 days, on the 25th. So Easter will be the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. So we had the spring equinox this week, and the full moon won't be until the 25th. So the first Sunday after the 25th. So I think that'll be just the 31st. Sunday the 31st of March. Funny how that never is the same all the time. But almost all of our other holidays are always quite more regular. Well, now Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the last, was it the fourth Thursday in November. So that's not got the same date all the time. But Valentine's Day, Halloween, Christmas, New Year's all have the same date. Oh, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day. Those change, I think, too. Well, Veterans Day. No, Veterans Day stays the same. What in the world is he watching?
Doesn't matter.
Huh?
It doesn't matter.
He's just excited about everything he's seeing?
Excited about everything.
Yeah. It's a good morning.
Hey, keep your butt. Keep your butt.
I'd rather he be happy. I know we've got a couple of crafters that go on live early in the morning, sometimes on Fridays as well. But I'm just at a random time, random day. I don't really have a schedule. I would like to get to doing a few days a week pretty regularly, but I want to hold off on that until we get everything all set up properly in this area. Although you guys are seeing it a mess now, but I think it'll be just easier for me to do and show things easier through the camera once we get everything all techie set up and I get all the other stuff set up, things that can be right at my fingertips and I don't have to worry about getting them from my upstairs craft room, bring them down here, and then they got to go back upstairs again, which really, are they going to go back upstairs after I bring them down here? Probably not. Probably not. And these squares I bought cut to this size already. Bought a few packs of certain size squares, 4-inch, 6-inch. This is, I think, more like 10. I have some 8-inch squares as well. And I just use them for different craft projects here and there. I also have a lot of fabric upstairs in a different room, a sewing room. But both my sewing machines need to have some maintenance. And reorganization. You know, they're kind of still set up the same way. At least one of them is set up the same way it was when the child who moved out left it. And since I changed it from when they moved out, I don't really have any of their bedrooms still set up that way anymore. For them, it would be sleeping on mom's couch. Oh, I do have a bed in my craft room, but that is a lot more like a couch right now than a bed. It's got a mattress, but all the pillows and stuff in the back. It looks more like a boho kind of, yeah, boho seating. That one did a little too tight. So how do you guys feel about sewing? Do you like to hand sew? What's your favorite craft? I wish I was better at painting, but I do have fun. Do have fun just doing some of this hand sewing. I know a lot of people who say they like to knit and crochet. They sit and knit and crochet in front of the television or whatnot. I'm not a television person, but I guess I'm technically sewing in front of any of you. And so as I say that, of course, I just made a boo-boo. Made a mistake. How bad of a mistake? Let's see. Huh. Mistake fixed. But now I do have to figure out how I'm not in this here a second because I've got 3 sides sewn. I want to see how it fits in there and how much fabric I will have as like a fold over, almost like an envelope would. I don't want to lose that pin. I had a magnet that I found, but I stuck it over somewhere so that I could make sure I never lost my needle. Oop, 8 o'clock. My phone is telling me it's 8 o'clock. See, that's normally when it basically would be waking me up. I tell my dad to set alarms on his phone for all kinds of things, and he's got a nice phone, but he doesn't really know how to use all the features, I don't think. And he definitely needs to. Aha. Found a magnet. All right. Let's just see before I turn the fabric around of how far I might have to go. So it's actually a big flap. It'll probably be too big, too hard to get it in without any part of this closed. And I can't sew this flap down until it's in there either. So I guess now I gotta turn it right side out. I have some really cool vintage sheets that I bought with the intent to make to try and make bloomers because I like bloomers. These sheets would be like that amazing. You can't buy that kind of feeling of the material anymore, kind of thing. Lots of fun flowery prints and whatever. Any of the bloomers I have now are all just the short ones are white with lace, and the longer ones are more of a just a light muslin color, light tan muslin. Ooh, this might be where I need some needles, some pins. And out comes Pinhead. Pinhead. Get my glue out of the way there. Try not to knock over everything.
Just to look at the PPC, make sure that we're
Maybe I will sew a little bit of this.
Maybe we don't like the cost, but at least I know Mitch is working with it. So from there, Mitch, I hand over to you.
Could you shut the door, dear? He's actually in there working too. Let me see. Might have to text the next room. Oh, where are you, dear? Oh, and I have multiple group chats, and apparently chats keeps all of my people. I'm gonna have to look into that setting because all of a sudden I have all these people from like group chats that I've set up for other YouTube channels that I have and whatnot. They're all in my messages too, so that's a little different. Please shut. What? I said, please shut, and then it literally shut the whole message off. I'm not even using that message. Voice messaging. Please shut the door. Thank you. Oh, Lordy. All right. We'll just see how long it takes him to do it, to get the text and actually shut the door. That's the problem with texting. It's one thing that you literally, if you're in the same house, it takes longer sometimes than just shouting for them or going and finding where they are. I could just get up and go shut the door over there myself, but I'm the one with the camera rolling right now. I don't think he's in a meeting. He has been home ever since everyone had to stay at home and everyone worked from home and pretty much everyone had school from home. Yeah, so my husband has never gone back into the office. And that's really more about my son, because he cannot get exposed with his immune system to anything even remotely like what went down. That was a very scary time for us. Oh, good. I left it big enough to put my hand in there. So now I can. Ouch. Pins. Putting everything into the right place, right space. Now there's extra over there. Those corners not being filled. Okay. No, I think I will just sew this all the way across like this. Need a little bit more. Thread that I have already on here, but that's all right. I can just tack this corner first. I think this is actually black. It is, but it's like a blue black. It's working out fine for the navy fabric. I can make it one more stitch out of this before it's too short to make a knot. Because I desperately hate that. When you've made just one too many stitches and you don't have any fabric left or any thread left to make a knot. All right. And I save all my little ends of thread. And using my craft projects. Sometimes they're just for looks. Sometimes they're for hair on a doll. I think I can let go of that one too. Yeah, obviously I did not get my text yet. So we are all still being treated to Mr. Oliver's vocalizations in there. Han? Let me mute you guys for 1 second.
What?
Oh, never mind. Can you please shut that door? Top and bottom. I always used to call that a barn door. It's not a barn door. What do they call that? Oh, he has his headset on. It's not a barn door because it's like the top, it can open separately from the bottom. And then there's a latch for the two of them to go together. Barn doors, I think, are those sliding doors that slide along your wall. I know we got pocket doors upstairs for our closet. which was nice. But I forget what they call this other door that we have. It's been crucial with that, being able to hear what was going on in there. With my son, if I was in here. And he's had nursing his whole life. But remember that time period I was just talking to you about that changed a lot of things for everyone. What it also changed is not enough nurses. I think we kind of had a nursing shortage to start with, then not enough home care nurses, and that's been going on for quite some time. Oh, excuse me. The home care nursing situation has nurses. That population that has not bounced back. All right. So yeah, our son needs someone to be right there with him, be able to keep their eyes on him, as well as do all the medical things he needs. And honestly, it should be a skilled nurse, an RN, a registered nurse. But we've had other periods of time over his 20-year life that we've been without a nurse too. They move on to other positions. Some have physically moved house and were no longer real close to us, or it was just too much of a drive with the traffic. And yeah, some we interviewed and didn't want to hire. I mean, we're working with an agency, so the agency actually had hired them, but they sent them to see if it would be a good fit here. And there's some that we've had to reject, sadly. And crazily sometimes. I think I can tell you this because I can't even remember her name or when it was, other than it was not winter out, because I would have remembered that there was snow on the ground. It was just an orientation. So the regular nurse was here for her 12-hour shift, and this new nurse came for orientation. So she looked at all the paperwork. She watched what the nurse did. I talked to her, asked her questions, and that kind of thing. And I forget, at some point, she wanted to go outside to her car for something. Oh, it must have been around 5 or 5:30, because it was my husband who had gotten home. He comes in through the front door, and everything for my son is close to the back door. But when she went out there, he must have already got out of the car and come in. But she did see his car. And here in Illinois, it's like a maximum of 7 numbers or letters on your license plate. And if you want to have something specific on your license plates, numbers or letters, or to support certain charities that they have too, but you have to pay. And if nobody else has that, then you can have that, as long as it's not something bad, no cuss words or anything like that. But apparently she went outside to go get something from her car and saw my husband's license plates. And normally it's, four, is it three letters on the left, a space, and then four numbers or letters. It's the same. 3 spaces on the left, a space in the middle, and then 4 spaces on the right. And I believe that there was a 6 maybe in the left side of numbers, and then a space, and then it switched over to the right side. Now, mind you, we did not have personalized plates. These are the ones that just like you register your car and they come to you. You don't have any control over what these random ones are. But she came inside all flustered, said she knew what we were. She saw those 6s outside. And she grabbed her things and she left. And the 6s were not even technically in a row. There was a space in between and all kinds of other, whatever other random numbers. Yeah. So we didn't have to refuse her as a nurse. She really pretty much excused herself, and that's fine. Because if she actually thought we had 666 like that, when we really didn't, she might have had too many other quirky things that we really couldn't work with. I don't even know if my husband was settled in from from work that day and came downstairs yet, and she was gone. So I think he came down. He's like, well, where's the nurse? I'm like, well, this is what she said about your license plates. And she said she knows the devil when she sees it, and explained about the 3 6s in your license plates, even though they're not really consecutive, and they were randomly made. She wasn't having any part of working here or with us. Out she went. Bye-bye. And that's actually fine. I've had some really interesting nurses, some real interesting things happen. Strange things. My son can't have a person who smokes around him, and nurses and doctors are pretty much the top occupation for smoking, and so that makes it difficult. Some of them think, oh, well, no, I would just smoke in my car on the way over. No. Or I could come in and just change my clothes, my scrubs in the bathroom when I got here. No. It doesn't go the way the smoke does, and the nicotine exposure, smoke exposure does not go away like that. And then we've also had to make sure we don't have nurses that are like part-time school nurses or part-time nursing home or hospital employees also, because of our son's immune system. So that makes for a little bit difficult. But quite frankly, like I said, before that period of time we all went through, um, well, when he was born, it was literally like maybe two, if you lost a nurse or she, moving away or um, something happened and the nurse had to be dismissed, whatever the case. It was literally usually about a 2 month wait that we would go through um, before finding, and they would actually send some possible candidates out too. So, but it would literally be about a 2 month period of time before we, ended up with another nurse that was somebody we wanted to replace her. And we only had one nurse during that whole um, time period, and never ever have got a second nurse since then. And at some point after all that craziness was over, the nurse that we did have, he went to work for the agency in their office. So we do see him every couple of months, but for paperwork and so on. But now we have no nurse after he left, and he's been gone quite a while. So even though we got somebody in the office looking out for my little guy, making sure any nurse that they send to us is a good fit, there really hasn't been but maybe one person. I don't even know. I think maybe it was one lady. I don't know, not really sure. But whomever it was not somebody that could actually do the job. I think she agreed with that same sentiment. And yeah. One time when my son was younger, there was a nurse that was training again. So we had the full 12-hour day nurse that was there training her and watching, and they're supposed to watch for the first day to pick up on everything, and then the second day of training they would instead of shadowing the nurse would shadow them and make sure that they were doing everything. But at that time my son had a lot of home therapies as well, physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, developmental therapists. And then when we found out about his hearing issues, so he had a developmental therapist for the deaf. And I don't remember what day of the week it was, but with those kind of therapists, and aqua therapy too. So with those kind of therapists, he was going. They were either coming to him or like the aqua therapy. We took him because it was at a pool, and it had to be at a pool that didn't have chlorine. It had something else, but his skin didn't like that either. But anyway, so it was about 10 appointments per week when it came to the therapies. And so I don't remember what therapist was here and what they were working with Oliver on, but we were all in the same room. And the nurse needed a chair to sit on. So I went and I got her a chair and I brought it in, and she looked at it and she looked at me and she's like, "Don't you know that nurses are supposed to be comfortable?" And I thought, well, mentally, emotionally, logically, yeah. But physically, you aren't going to be doing a whole lot of sitting down. It's a lot more standing. And she was just observing that day, I believe. And so she didn't need to just sit, though, in a nice, comfy chair. I mean, what was I supposed to do? Go get from the living room upstairs some big padded side chair for her? I don't know. Oh, and another nurse that we thought maybe would be good. So it was like one of her first days with us after like orientation and whatever. And my son had an appointment, I believe, downtown at the Children's Hospital, but in a clinic setting. That as soon as we were put in an exam room and they weighed him and my son, and they measured him and they asked all the questions about the medicines, you name it, whatever. So then they went out and we were waiting for the doctor to come in. And as soon as they went out, this nurse, I kid you not, started opening up all the cabinet doors. And she had a tote bag with her. And so I said, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, you know, just even these little supplies that, that they might have in here, she's looking around and she's pulling out gauze and pulling out tape, things like that. But she's like, there's just so many kids at home for home nursing, so many sick kids that just don't have the right number of supplies that they should have, or might actually just need. So she took it upon herself when she was at appointments, no matter with whom, to help herself to whatever's in the cabinets that wasn't locked. And I wanted no part of that. When we were on the way out, I had her push my son at the time he was in a stroller, push my son in the stroller farther ahead. And I went back and spoke to the head nurse in the area. And I said, this is what happened. And I just want you to know that it has nothing to do with me. It was everything to do with her. And that when we got home, I was making a phone call to the agency because that was absolutely unacceptable. And the other thing is if you do that at an actual clinic, what are you going to do with my son's supplies? Are you going to decide he has, ooh, hush, 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 so easily? No, hush. Oh, yeah, the oxygen, you hear them? Oh, you hear them rolling by. Yep, oxygen time. So yeah, I as soon as we got home. Oops, let's mute. All right, dog muting. Yeah. So not only was it theft there, I considered her a thief. And that's what we told the agency. And we're like, nope, she cannot come back to work here. My son's supplies are my son's supplies unless I choose to give them to someone, which I never really could because we only order what he needs to use. And I mean, while that is a lot of different supplies, um, we can't tolerate a nurse stealing them, even if she says she is taking him to a house where these other supposed other sick kids who have nursing um, don't have enough supplies. Nor would I want her to go to a doctor's appointment with me again and risk that whole situation. Very unethical and not something I was going to tolerate. Oops. I'm going to sew down, I think, just this one side with all of you guys, and then I'll be done with this particular video. And we will see each other another time. I feel like Mr. Rogers the way I'm talking. Till I see you next time. I trust you. Trust me, I won't be changing sweaters in front of you or changing shoes and putting on different shoes because I don't wear shoes. And I haven't for about 8 years. But I love sweaters. I love cardigans. I always liked Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Wasn't really fond of the train thing and the puppets. And that whole like castle situation, the king and the queen, I think, wasn't it? I don't know. I didn't really care for that part. I like to see when supposedly, they'd gone on a field trip and you get to see what it looked like inside some factory and that made cheese or did whatever. Those kinds of things I liked. And Sesame Street was fun too. Sesame Street I don't think is really what it used to be anymore though. Couple more. Hey, oh lordy, whoa lordy. Hey. Yes, they're going back down the driveway. That's what happens. They bring some and they take some. My goodness. I can tell who thinks they own this house. All right, one more little stitch to straighten this off. Stop barking. And we're almost finished. This side over here down, and it'll look like a little envelope. Tuck things under. But I want to thank you guys for being here today, and anyone who watches on the replay. I'll definitely, like I said, be trying to do at least a couple times a week until I can get a schedule going. Once all of my equipment is where it's supposed to be, all of my supplies are where I feel like they're in a good place. Yeah. And it'll also be more spring, more summer. I am not a heat person, so I'll be in the air conditioning inside for summertime. But I also like to make my crafts and do things that are not necessarily just things like this, like I want, but I, want to do or need to get done. I like crafts that have to do with that season or the holiday that's that is coming up. What was I going to say? Oops, only one part. There we go. And I am also fond of digging into the history of certain holidays and why they are the way they are, and how they used to be celebrated versus modern day. I find all that very, very, very interesting. So there will be probably crafts related to those things, and as well as traditional. Anything new that comes along, a lot of paper crafting, journaling, cooperating, and making cooperating in a swap where we're all making the same kind of thing, but everybody's got a different take on it, and then we swap items. I've never been a make one for myself and then make one to send. I know several people are, and it sounds like a really good idea. It's just that usually with my life, the way it goes time wise, I really only have time to end up making the ones that I'm supposed to send out for the people that I'm supposed to swap with, and then of course I get that many back. I try to take pictures of what I've made. That's been a thing I gotta get better at too, though. And why is there a hippopotamus? Never mind. There's a hippopotamus figure just randomly sitting on the chalkboard ledge behind my ring light, with his mouth open and his teeth showing. I wonder if he was something that was lost under a piece of furniture before my husband moved most of this furniture around. Maybe he'll become a mascot. We'll have Pinhead, and who knows about the hippo. I'll have to think about that. Well, everyone have a good Friday, and I probably will be here one time at least over the weekend and have something different to do. I've already made some watercolored papered eggs and bunny faces, bunny bodies, and sent them to my grandson and my granddaughter, just so that they would get something in the mail, which is fun. So those I'll probably end up sticking in our journal somewhere after I take pictures of them. Anyway, again, have a good Friday, and until next time, bye-bye.